Yes we are. Yo guys, I've got a spark which I'm going to use to ignite the fire for the final episode of the Spyro's Adventure portion of the carryon Locke. So all of the Skylanders that survived this upcoming confrontation, they will be carried over into Giants, where they will have the possibility to be upgraded to their Series 2 versions if they possess one. Then if the Series 2 version is defeated in battle, they revert back to their original form, and if that original form is also defeated in battle, then they are classed as dead and can't be used throughout the remainder of the series. Even if they revert to an original form in the game, if they have a later version in another game that they can upgrade to, then when that game rolls around, they can upgrade to that version, and then when that is defeated, they revert back to their original once more. It is essentially the same rules as the Supercharged series, but instead it's being carried over through different games, where Locke rules are still in place, so we have to switch out to a Skylander corresponding to the current element of the area. We cannot switch out again until the element of the area changes once more. My apologies for stuttering, but there's also the fact that if the Skylander is defeated in battle, their class is dead and cannot be used throughout the remainder of the series. That's not just the game at hand, that is all of the games preceding it moving forward, because it's a carry-on Locke. Only our survivors are carried on to the next game, where from Giants onwards we're going to be tackling the games exclusively on Nightmare mode, so it's going to make things so much more tougher. It's why I wanted to get through this game with all 8 survivors, but unfortunately I was asked for too much. For Ghost Roaster faced a gruesome fate. It was rather tragic indeed. What's not so tragic is that I now get to play as my favourite Skylander, who has to one-shot Chaos. He has to one-shot Chaos because going into Chaos, the final element of the area is of the fire element. So yes, wish us luck. Not that we're going to need it because Igknight has done this shot before. Okay, I didn't mean to do the combo, but we'll take it, I guess. Boom! I mean, that final combo was kind of an overkill against a single enemy, but we take those. Let's grab ourselves that key. Not the blade, which is throwing blade, which is at me. That's a bit rude, but luckily that's what we get food for. And hey, because I don't need the healing from any of the food back there, we can instead grab the treasure that Igknight is in desperate need of. Regardless, we started this level with Voodoo, and now we have to go back to playing as Voodoo, because this level has a ton of magic and fire areas, where obviously when those elements pop up, I must switch out to the Skylander corresponding to the element, cannot switch out again until the area changes once more. Okay, let's take out this fella right now, grab ourselves some food because we're in desperate need of it. That banana split looked particularly nutritious. And so we'll have to do the same when Earth pops up in this level, much later in this level. I'd rather gather treasure over a story score, to be perfectly honest with you, because treasure is way more shinier, and I like shiny things. Okay, let's grab this food, because apparently these guys don't like the idea of being hit, despite me having very clearly hit them. Ow. Okay, so the treasure chest is probably going to give us more treasure than what the legendary treasure has to offer, so we might as well go for the treasure chest instead. Yeah, like, look at all this treasure. I'm pretty sure that's way more than the 1,000 or so gold that the legendary treasure would have gave us. Or maybe it's exactly the same, which would have been a really nice touch, actually. It means that your choice basically meant nothing other than the specific collectible objective you would have ticked off by it. Okay, back to fire. That was quick, but as I said earlier, we're constantly switching between fire and magic for this level. Watch out for the Blade Witch. Yeah, this truly is like our final test, more or less. Boom! Get him, and get him some more. Now that's what we're talking about! Now where's the food that I'm in desperate need of right now? Apparently, it is nowhere to be seen. So we'll start going over to the left here, where we can switch out instantly for Bash. I want to make sure I swap out for Bash as soon as possible, because we don't need Igknight taking even more damage. After all, you want to make sure that Igknight actually makes it to a boss fight in the first place. How is he supposed to solo shot it if he's defeated along the way? And at the end of the day, of all these characters, it is Igknight that I really want to make it to the end, because that means he can be carried over onto Giants. In fact, I want Igknight to make it through for Locke for as long as possible, because he is my favourite Skylander, so the longer he's in the Locke, the more joy I personally shall feel. Okay, let's continue slowly making our way around, very slowly. Okay, I think we're about there now. Yeah, more or less. Just got to stay out of reach of the arms. That's the thing with this level. On the Wii version, it's so much better because at least in the Wii version, you're always moving. You go through corridors to make it to each split path. Whereas here, it's so boring because you have to wait for the platform to just move on its own as it's automated. And then you have to do the same going back. And that's a good, like, 5 or 6 minute chunk of the level. It's such a disappointing final level of the video game because it takes away from all the challenge. There we go, now that's what I'm talking about, baby! Actually, before we leave, we might as well pick up the treasure because, you know, we need some sort of reward for tackling those guys with such ease now, don't we? And this is quite possibly the last time Bash will even be seen in this series, so we might as well take advantage of Bash's screen time in this game whilst we can. And my controller really needs to stop doing that! I asked it nicely in the previous episode and clearly the thing wasn't listening to me. I know the batteries are fine, we only just replaced the batteries at the start of the session. Which, in terms of these videos going live, that episode would have been published weeks ago. Man, it took us 10 weeks to get up to this point, and yet I recorded the entirety of Spyro's Adventure all in one bulk sitting. Okay, we're just going to stand here. We're going to stand here menacingly! Okay, that was the moment where I realised that I forgot to press record on my Elgato. Luckily, my Elgato has a feature where I can go back on the timeline and record everything since it was first plugged in, so I was able to go back to when I started recording this episode and stop recording from there. Thank you, Flashback Elgato feature! You've really saved my bacon on this one, and I like bacon, so I'm glad it was saved. Anyway, we're gonna just slowly wait for this one again. And the worst part is that once we get there, we have to defeat a bunch of enemies, grab another key, and then wait for it to go all the way back again. Why can't they just invest in teleporters? Like, why not just teleport us there? This is not challenging at all. It just completely withdraws from all the pacing of the level altogether. And besides, those pylons don't offer a challenge. They're just cheap because you can't dodge them. They are too quick to be dodged. They are physically impossible to dodge. So what's the point in offering it as a challenge when instead it's just something, like, cheap? At the end of the day, I'm sure the intention was to make it so you'd have to constantly move around the platform, so you'd always be dodging the pylons. But like I said already, they're too quick to even dodge them, and their hitboxes extend far too big. So naturally, like, you don't spend the whole time trying to dodge them, you spend the whole time in a corner avoiding them. That is, if my zipline wants to function correctly. Thank God this is the last magic section, so that Voodoo doesn't have to worry about being defeated by this absolute rubbish. But yes, as you can see, I literally just stand here. I don't spend the whole time moving around the platform, because if I did, I'd die, because these pylons deal damage to you far too easily. So why even bother with a challenge? Yes, just about everything about the design of this part of the level is horrendous. Hence, the rant. But I've ranted about it long enough, we finally got to where we needed to be, so we can get ourselves the fuck off of this platform and head back to defeat some more enemies, which shall be done by, obviously, Igknight, as the fire element is stronger here. You should expect a lot of silence moving forward, to be perfectly honest, because I'm going to need to concentrate a lot, but we'll grab the treasure at least. Yeah, that treasure is great. Now that the gate has been opened, we can come through here. Whee! Make a pass blade with absolute complete utter ease. Bye, fella! And I wouldn't want to be you neither, because you're a bit dead right now, and I like not being dead. As I established previously in the series. Oh, really? You're going to try and attack me? Well, that's a bit foolish, don't you think? Haha! Oh, man! They were just... That was quick. Okay, here we go. Wait for it. Boom, baby! Now that's a lot of damage. And we are even going to grab ourselves that slice of cheese right there. How very glorious indeed. Boom, boom. Let's shake the room. Almost get 2 price 1 right there, but unfortunately for me, almost doesn't quite count now, does it? Okay, that guy's just going to go ahead and commit Sudoku. I can't blame him. Fighting Igniter is a terrifying task, which I myself would not want to do either. But that being said, we're going to grab that food, fully heal ourselves up. It's not going to matter because at the beginning of the Chaos Boss fight, they fully heal up all of your Skylanders anyway. So in the end, it doesn't even matter. But man, I'm running out of footage on my face cam right now. I only have 48 minutes of footage left. I've already used up 11 minutes of those, so I best hope that I defeat this boss quickly enough and I don't run out of storage space on my phone. But that's kind of what happens when you record a swinging board, and frankly I'm impressed that I've had as much storage to last me as long as it has.
Hey there everyone, we've now gone full screen so we can admire Igknight in all of his glory in this larger format, mind you. Now no doubt you're wondering where the facecam has gone. Well, this has been recorded as part of the second session. I recorded this directly after I recorded, or re-recorded so to say, the fire episode. So obviously I re-recorded Malkin Mine and Lava Lakes Railway back to back, and that was what created episode 7, given that it was a second session. I also had a change up in attire, and I was meant to carry over that attire into a face cam for this portion of the finale, for the Spyro's Adventure portion of the carryon Locke, but nothing really went to plan here when it came to the initial recording, that is. I don't even know what went wrong. All I know is that when I went to edit it, I only had half of this fight, so naturally I definitely have to come back, re-record it. And the reason why I didn't set up my face cam for this finale, despite teasing it in a few episodes prior to this, is the fact that I felt it would be much better if I could pour 1000% of my concentration into this fight and not have to worry about commentary on top of it. So naturally that's exactly what I did. I shut off the face cam and allowed myself to focus purely on the fight, because it is very important not to lose Igknight here. And we're off to a great start. You know, my sword strike's not hitting Chaos or Gilgrunt directly because the hitboxes in this game are just absolutely jank. And now already Igknight has lost a massive chunk of health, which he instantly heals back up from, mind you, thanks to that glorious chicken that Gilgrunt has left for us so generously. So now we're going to go continue attacking Chaos as quickly as possible, because whilst Igknight is at full health, what we want to do is deplete Chaos's health as fast as possible, get this phase over and done with. Now with Eruptor we can quite easily dodge his attacks whilst we're charging up our slam, of course, but just like that, we're now initiating the next phase of the boss already, because we have the, well, shall we say, a special creature to be meeting with, one with multiple personalities, shall we say. Yes, it's a very difficult fight, this one, at least to solo shot it with a character so melee based like Igknight, so that is why the concentration is required. And I'm here instead to post commentate the epicness of this grand finale, so to say. Plus it also meant that I could make this gameplay, I could justify making it full screen if I didn't have a face cam to go alongside it, so that was another perk behind my decision here. So here we are with the usual problems, such as my controller disconnecting. I completely forgot that this happened midway through the fight. That is rather inconvenient, but luckily for me I was able to reconnect it instantly, because it's not like the batteries on it were dead. This was pretty much the only time I'm using my 360 controllers when I'm recording this series, which is why I know that the batteries wouldn't have been dead yet, because even after all of this gameplay, given that I have Duracell batteries, they would have lasted. Hashtag not sponsored. I'm totally not sponsored by Duracell, but they totally should sponsor me. I'd be a great person to sponsor from Duracell. Anyway, when it comes to these live spells, once again they are really incredibly janky and hard to hit, especially with Igknight's hitbox, which seems very inconsistent in this game for whatever reason. But luckily there is a cheat there where his secondary combination can spout out fire all around you, and that's guaranteed to collide with the hitboxes of a live spell and ensure that all those creatures are defeated. Then with the Doom Sharks, I'm going to have a much easier job of avoiding them with Igknight than I am with Zap. Now obviously on the Wii the hitboxes are a lot more clearer, but we're playing the Expect version where the hitboxes once again are janky and inconsistent. I'm noticing a theme here. But with Igknight, he has little, on his elbows for his suit he has spikes, so as long as the spikes are within the hitbox of the Doom Shark, he'll be sure to heal up as opposed to take damage there. And that is personally how I judge the hitboxes. And rather than going to Undead, we're going back to life already, which I am okay with, because Undead and Fire are definitely the hardest most spells. We got very lucky to avoid fire there. And here I am messing up which combinations I'm intending to use, because I just keep pressing for incorrect buttons, thinking that we're going back to the days of Skylanders Swap Force, where obviously the controls were completely mixed up, so that is messing with my head, so to say. And now we're going to take a nasty hit from the fire. We got very lucky to initiate the next phase before that fire followed through and dealt even more damage to me. But luckily, as we saw the Doom Sharks here, Igniter might not have any self-healing abilities, and there is a lack of food as a healing option in this fight. The only way you can do so is by defeating Chaos's evil minions. But it is much safer to deal as much damage to Chaos as quickly as possible and move on to the next phase of minions, because the longer minions stay around, for more damage they can potentially deal to you. The only minions you really want to defeat is this first round of minions, where they have lower health, you don't quite hit as hard, so you can more easily recover, and hopefully you defeat them quickly. You can have some food and leave that behind for later phases. Though it is pretty crucial for me to not miss with that Mega Slam like I just did, so apparently not missing with it is easier said than done. Yeah, it's basically the tactic for the Chaos fight here. Just deal damage as much as possible to Chaos as quickly as possible, so to say, and then hope that the Doom Sharks pop up to heal you up, just like we did right now. As you can tell, I'm using the spikes on the Igniter's shoulders, and I am avoiding the damage hitboxes quite easily indeed. I'm getting healed up every single time I'm in that correct hitbox and making a judgment. I'm taking a high risk with it, mind you. I could take damage in the process, but with high risk also comes high reward. There's that cheese, which I did really want to save for later, but unfortunately it spawned right on top of me. That's one of the disadvantages to Igniter being melee based. When you defeat an enemy, you've defeated them up close and personal, but luckily we can leave that cheese behind after a absolutely miraculous dodge from Ignitor right there. Man, to squeeze through those acorns was impressive in and of itself. But now we get slow motion because we are on the outside hitbox of the Doom Shark, so the game's mechanics are working through that in order to still play the cutscene on top of that layer. It's another thing which makes the coding of Spyro's Adventure, so to say, not so efficient. It's definitely something they improved upon in the later games. This, from a technical standpoint, if you're not playing on the way that is not nearly up to the standards of the rest of the franchise, but it's still a great starting point. We all love Spyro's Adventure just for its nostalgic feeling, but also its simplicity. At the end of the day, this is a game that's very easy to just pick up and play. You don't have to concern yourself about all too much more than that. And I am hearing rain pattering very loudly on my window outside, so hopefully that's not picking up on the mic. It shouldn't do, because the mic is far enough away, but it is annoying me, and now it's in my head. Another reason why I'm glad I was able to cut out the face cam, because if I did do a face cam whilst it was raining like this, then I'd have raining, and I'd have to worry about that possibly like taking focus away from my commentary, maybe making it break down a little bit, like like what is unintended, so to say. It could distract me mid-sentence like it's currently doing. And I'm not even live commentating this right now, I'm post commentating this and it's still attracting me. So can you imagine distracted commentary whilst trying to play the game as well on top of that? Yes, look, that's what we have the powers of post commentary for instead. Now, okay, there we go, we're on the next phase already. Didn't even defeat any of those minions, but when it comes to Stealth Elf and Ghost Roaster, you really want to get them off screen as fast as possible. Stealth Elf is pretty easy to dodge and there's no problem one-on-one, but Ghost Roaster, on the other hand, in this version, he just doesn't stop skull charging, and it's annoying, especially given how much damage it deals. If only regular Ghost Roaster was as good as that, maybe then he wouldn't have died so movably in Creepy Citadel. I'm joking, of course. That was purely a result of my own actions, those actions being a lack of pushing the be good of the video game button. And it's a shame, because Ghost Roaster could have been really useful in the later games, not only for his absolutely broken tertiary ability, but the fact that had we got him up to superchargers, he could have become an elite as well, so we would have had a better shot at those vehicle sections. Igniter! Stop taking damage, you're kind of doing the opposite of the point of the game right now. So yes, this is a trio of minions that, as you saw right there, are brutal. Problem is that it never stops at just one. As soon as one hits you, they all seem to get a slice of you. Oh, and here comes Chop Chop again, where we've got to be very careful not to get stuck in a corner with him, because if we do, then we are as good as dead. We'll move on to the next phase, once again with a lack of food. So Igniter is down to below 300 health, and we still have one final trio of minions, the hardest of which to take out. As Chaos puts it, they are lame shooting, or they are lame incompetence with at least far shooting capabilities. They are, to quote Chaos, far shooting lame incompetence. So yes, we desperately need to avoid these guys like the plague because they can very easily stack damage, and worst of all, they can do it from afar. Meanwhile, Ignitor has to get personal with them because his secondary ability is so jank in this game. Not only are you left vulnerable, but your fire, once again, can collide directly with an enemy hitbox, and it's still not guaranteed to deal damage. You got to hit a very specific part. And Gilbert, I think I've defeated him already. But we defeat him as fast as possible, get some food, whilst at 48 health. The food is spawned in, but I can't even approach it, given the onslaught of projectiles on behalf of Hex and Flameslinger. Of course, it had to be a fire spell, it couldn't be something convenient like a water spell, but we managed to narrowly avoid the fire, taking the food, and we're down to 198 health, so we definitely lost more health than we gained during that encounter. Now, Hex did hit us, but fortunately it didn't deal damage, so it would appear as though the enemies have as much a struggle actually hitting me when they hit me just as much as I do. Yeah, imagine hitting someone, but then not actually hitting someone. Imagine that working in real life. Your fist just phases through someone, and they are fine, as if they were never hit in the first place. Like, seriously, Chaos is invincible. Those hits absolutely should have landed. And you wonder why I had to post-commentate this. I was too scared to do this live commentary. I mean, look at this, 132 health already. If I weren't concentrating, I'd be dead by now. But luckily, we have a nice charge up. We just have to avoid all of the solar rains and the fire arrows all at once. No big deal, but with a full charge, hopefully against Chaos, we can deal, well, it would be a full charge if that cutscene interrupting us. And of course, we walk directly into the fire. What a great plan that was. We need to hurry up and get Chaos down to his final phase already, so that then we at least have no more evil minions to worry about. Like that, let's freaking go. We was really close there. I'm acting as though I don't know the final result of this battle. Obviously, I'm post-commentating this, so the gameplay portion of this has already happened. I know what happens, but it's still very exciting to see myself drop to 62 health. And finally initiate this final phase where I won't have these onslaught of minions to have to worry about, because minions have definitely dealt the most damage throughout this fight, more so than the Hydra. And even then, the Hydra only really deals damage when it's for fire spell. The undead spell can tend to hit you, but luckily we're not playing a Wii version where, well, first of all, Chaos would usually heal himself fully on the Wii version, so we got that benefit. Second of all, for undead spells don't deal as much damage. So they're not as punishing in this version of the game. But now, without further ado, we're going to be at 60 health no longer, because this is what we have for Might and Awesomeness of Doom Shots for, especially when we're being healed by 3 of them all at once. Now that is what I'm talking about. Got find ourselves yet another shark, and then just follow it down. There we go. Is this going to be double shark? Double shark? Double shot, pretty please. I'm asking you nicely, pretty please, with cherry on top. No, apparently not. I was asking too much. Anyway, we're slowing down time, but that's not going to stop us from taking damage to the fire still. And you've got to be very careful during that spell, because in the corners you probably noticed a small little, like, volcano-looking thing. That can still deal damage to you. It's this tiny little spark at the corner of the screen, and yet the whole corner can deal damage to you. It's absolute rubbish. It sure certainly is a good thing that I've played this fight enough to learn of these things. Otherwise, I'd walk directly into it, trying to avoid the circle in the middle and taking complete and utter unnecessary damage. Anyway, this right here is the easiest shark to heal up from, because we can simply just follow it down. It takes a straight pathway. As soon as you get into the correct hitbox judgment for this, you just got to follow it all the way down. So, Igniter, yes, the spike in the elbow certainly helps, but it's not like he needed it. There we go, back up to full health just like that. It's hard to believe that just like 2 minutes ago, we were struggling. We were on the brink of death. Maybe a couple more seconds, and we would have been a goner and would have lost my favourite Skylander. But fortunately for me, I clutched out, I saw it through, and we got to the water spell whilst not taking too much damage. We got to water spell, healed ourselves up with a micro absolute roaring legendary awesomeness. So here we go with a fire and under spell combined, the 2 most brutal spells. Life is only ever brutal if you can't destroy the like little red fellas, but fortunately for us with Igniter, we have a little trick, which is, you know, obviously when I do the correct combination, like that, for example, a very convenient combination that, most combo characters though have some sort of move that will take those down efficiently. Stump Smash definitely does, but we're not playing a Stump Smash right now because life doesn't really appear in the latter half of the game. It's very rare, actually, for Skylanders games to have life in the later levels. For some reason, the developers just didn't see life as a very hardcore element and preserved it for some of the more easier sections in all of these games. Like in Trap Team, I can't remember if life even appears past Chapter 12, at least from the base game. I don't think it does. Obviously, it doesn't here in the adventure packs, which for Trap Team are unnecessarily brutal for no good reason whatsoever. So they're going to be fun to experience when we get around to that. But to even get them in the first place, we need to make sure enough characters are alive to be carried forward. So hopefully, having lost Ghost Roaster already, we won't lose anyone else, such as Igknight we see before us, because that would be truly tragic. One loss is already one too many. But luckily for us, that's what we have a charged flaming slam for, and there are those corner hitboxes I was referring to earlier. You can see already how cheap they are. The fire spell hadn't even finished summoning in yet, the animation hadn't even started yet, and yet I still took damage to it in the corner, purely because I was there trying to attack Chaos and avoid the attacks in the middle. Like, come on game, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, that is overkill, having attacks in the middle and attacks in the corners. Where am I supposed to go to avoid your attacks? And your whole mechanics are built on us being able to avoid the attacks. Yes, you gotta have balance in life. After all, the universe in it of itself wouldn't exist without balance, so I think it's not too much to ask for balance in my video game as well. Who am I kidding? Of course, I'm asking for too much, but speaking of balance, or the lack thereof, we fully healed ourselves back up again, so all that damage has been nullified. Damage in this fight just does not matter, because that's what we have the water spell for. A very convenient water spell, actually. So I'm going to get out of the corner. I've learned from the last time, but this time there aren't any attacks instantly initiated in the corners instead, because that fire spell loops around and eventually makes its way to the corners, so obviously having volcanoes in the corners on top of that wasn't necessary, the developers felt like. So here we go, let's continue attacking Chaos, taking 10 damage to the face. I take that back, Ignited doesn't even have a face, but once again this last spell is going to be no problem for us. We're going to initiate that also crucial chain reaction of events that's going to destroy all of the life spells around us, thanks to the might of that awesome combo, mind you. In later games that combo isn't going to be nearly as useful because it's slow, it leaves you vulnerable, and the attacking hitbox isn't as wide as it really needs to be, so it just so happens that that combination is the perfect thing to tackle that exact scenario in this game. But outside of that exact scenario, it's not the greatest combo that which Igniter has to offer. The tertiary combo with the slam is very good when you combine it with his series 2, because with the wow power, obviously every slam or fiery attack you do involving the tertiary and secondary attack ones, they leave behind some blue fire. So obviously with the tertiary combo initiating a tertiary attack, it leaves behind the blue flames as well, so you can quickly stack up the damage from combo, and then the blue flames linger and engulf the enemies, dealing a lot of damage. It stacks up very quickly. That's what makes Igniter as brutal as he is. You think on Nightmare mode it wouldn't be so great because you have to get up close and personal with enemies, but the thing is that Igniter has already defeated the enemies in no time. For that, he defeats them so quickly that it's like they were never born, basically. So with how quickly he defeats them, the enemies don't really stand a chance to hit you back, and that's going to be a common theme of this character, that is, so long as he makes it past Spyro's Adventure, which he most certainly did. Let's freaking go. But Dave Sharks is still after us despite Chaos having been defeated already. He was really trying to like post-mortem us then, but that's not going to happen, Chaos. I said no, and what I say goes. Chaos, that final phase was no problem for us whatsoever. As soon as you get past the minions, this fight is a joke, and luckily I was able to get past the minions thanks to concentration with my lack of face cam having been set up for the finale of this portion of a carryon Locke. But yes, it's very exciting. After this, obviously next week's episode, rather than moving straight along to Giants, we are going to take a look at every single episode of the Spyro's Adventure portion of Carryon Locke back to back. I'm going to create one of my long form videos for that, so we can celebrate Spyro's Adventure having come to a close, so to say, and that's what we're going to be doing to break up between the games every single time in the carryover series. So as soon as we beat a game in the carryover series, we are going to, that next following week, upload a long form video with all of the episodes of that game running one after the other, as one long movie. Obviously for Spyro's Adventure, that movie is going to be about 8-ish hours, maybe a little bit under that, but that's purely because the Adventure Pack levels alone are an hour long and there's 10 of these episodes, so an average, about 40 minutes an episode, will come to around that ballpark. Or maybe I'm completely off and my math is horrendous. This is what an A-star maths is like, apparently. But now we have all the characters congratulating us and yada yada yada. We beat the game. We're awesome. Igknight gets to move on to the next games, which I am so looking forward to. Obviously, the proper way to celebrate this is with Quigley's infamous quote. He noticed that our head was on fire, but it was on about faces earlier. Like, Igknight doesn't have a face, so does he have a head? I mean, supposedly he has something hidden within that suit of his that he is eternally binded to per the curse the witch placed upon him. Yes, that's Igknight's intriguing backstory for you, and you wonder why he's my favourite character. Come on, he's definitely proved himself with the Carry On series, and you know what? You ain't seen nothing yet. Igknight in this series is brutal. He makes me feel sorry for the enemies, actually. And another thing I feel sorry for right now is how much of that cold wound up in the water, and obviously Igknight being a fire creature, him and the water don't really mesh. So we're going to grab the treasure that we can, and then we're going to head back over here because the bomb even left us with some goodies of its own. So now we're tucked away in the corner. We are without further ado going to conclude the Spyro's Adventure portion of the Carry On Locke. I cannot, in good conscience, end off this video without first thanking all of my incredible channel members whose continued support help make these videos possible. Without them, these videos would be near impossible to make, so from the bottom of my heart, I truly appreciate every last one of them. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, there are plenty of options on screen now to explore, and please consider subscribing to keep up to date with all my content. On that note, this video is coming to an end, so thank you so much as always for watching. Until the next video arises, peace!